Welcome to the Tales of Resilience and Success. I'm your host, Nicole Gonzalez Filos. Join me as we explore the inspiring journeys of Isabel, Andrea, and Elizabeth through the challenges of restarting their careers in a new country. Each woman shares unique insights into the credentialing process, strategies, and support systems, and personal strength, unveiling stories of achievement and growth in a sometimes challenging environment. This is the story of resilient Latina women in British Columbia. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
I'm super excited to hear about your journey and where it will take you. And I'm so excited for you to share that with us.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your name? Where do you come from? And how did you end up in British Columbia?
Yeah, of course. My name is Maria Isabel Guzman Romero. I'm from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. And I arrived to Canada around 2 years ago under a student visa. I'm an RN back home, and I'm planning to become an RN here in Canada.
I guess, what inspired you to become a nurse in the first place?
Well, I have a lot of relatives in the health field, some doctors, nurses, nutritionists, except for my parents. Most of my cousins and uncles are in medical field. So maybe that was the biggest influence that I had. And since I was a kid, I've been very into it, the human body and how it works, health field. That's why.
You were a nurse back home, back in Mexico. You moved here with a student visa to pursue nursing. You're in nursing school at the moment?
Yes.
Okay, and then your plan is to become an RN here. How does that process work? Just could you walk us through what you're doing right now in order to accomplish your goal?
Well, it is different for every province in Canada. I must say that here in BC is especially hard. Canada has the BCCNM, which is the College for Nursing and Doulas, I believe. And those are the major, how can I say, the regulatory body here in Canada. So you must go through them in order to have your license as a RN, LPN, whatever the field you choose. First step for me was to prove that I'm able to speak, read, write in English. So I had to go through IELTS exam, and in order to get your license, you must get a minimum of 7, which is super hard. So once I had my exam, I got into a college. In my case, since I already have my bachelor degree in nursing plus more than 1 year of experience, I don't have to study everything again. It means I don't have to study 4 years. I have to study just 2 years. And I'm currently studying in a college here in Vancouver, and they are guiding me through this process. They are telling me where to go, which papers do I need, plus the websites that I have to take a look for reviews and all that kind of things. Today I'm heading to the school. I have a final exam in a few minutes. It's gonna last about 3 hours, and after that I'm gonna be off of school. Then I might go to work.
Have you encountered any setbacks or any challenges along your journey since you started?
Many. I must say that the first one was the IELTS exam. For me, it was extremely challenging. English is not my first language. but I feel more comfortable now with English than in the beginning. The second one was the economic part. For me as an international student, the school is more expensive. The tuition fees are extremely expensive. And when I first arrived, I came to prepare exclusively for the IELTS exam. And when you come to study English or any other language, you are not allowed to work. So I was surviving with my savings from Mexico. And as you know, the gap between Mexican pesos and Canadian dollars is huge. So I was kind of struggling with that part. And once I finally got my license as a care aide, thanks to my college, I was finally able to work legally and make more money.
You are still in school right now. Could you tell me what year you're in?
Yeah, I started my course in June 2022. My current schedule is 3 days a week, Monday to Wednesday, and I have the rest of the week off so I can work. I'll be done by March, and after that I'm gonna start my second clinical co-op.
We were talking before, and you told me that there's also another exam that you are preparing for.
BC requires 20 international educated nurse to go through an exam called NCAS, which is a practical and written exam where you have to demonstrate that you can work in a safe way under the Canadian standards. And once you approve that exam, you can challenge your NCLEX, which is the licensing exam. But my process is stuck because there's so many international educated nurses that have applied. So I'm just been waiting for NCAS people to give me a date or require me more papers in order to challenge that exam. One of the disadvantages of being an international student here in Canada is that you are not eligible to apply for student loans or any other kind of support, at least not in private schools. Thank God the lady that recruited me to come to this college, she gave me a scholarship, and even though it was small, it made a huge difference.
Are you working part-time at the moment while you're still in school?
Yes. As I mentioned before, with my student visa, I also have an open work permit, and it allows me to work in wherever I can. But the good thing about my program is that you have to go through the care aid part. So once you finish that part of the course, they give you a license so you can work as a care aide. Currently, I'm working in a nursing home part-time, but when I'm in vacations, I'm able to work full-time.
Okay, that's awesome. And how is that working in a care home? I'm guessing it's totally different from what you used to do in Mexico. Is it? I'm not sure. How is it for you?
To be honest, it's not that far from what I used to do in Mexico. The only difference is that I don't give medications. Being a care aide is more a physical job. What you do is feeding, cleaning, changing the clothes, and that's it.
Do you find that challenging, or is it sort of easy for you since you already had that background before back home?
At the beginning, it was not that hard because you know how to move the persons, you know, body mechanics and how the principles of feeding, you know, the precautions you have to apply to each patient as well as the illness that they have. But I find that job extremely hard, like speaking in physics. it is heavy work. What it makes it easy for me is that here in Canada they have ceiling lifts and other machines that help you to move those heavy bodies. In Mexico we don't have it. You have to figure it out with your sheets, or maybe your patient is able to move a little bit and help you. But here, at least in the facility that I'm working, is long-term care. So most of my patients have dementia, or they had a stroke. They cannot move half of body, maybe not move at all. So they become super heavy, and most of them are taller than me, which is very difficult. Thanks to those machines, I can move them safely.
So your goal is obviously to become a registered nurse. How far are you in that goal at the moment?
To be honest, I don't know. It totally depends on the NCAST and BCCNM. Without them require me for more papers or giving me any date to challenge my exams, I can't continue. You have 1 year to complete this process. Other way, you have to pay for like an extension, and if you don't complete your process during that time, you lost everything. The good thing about being a nurse and Canada needing nurses is that I can apply to another province. So that means I can challenge the NCLEX somewhere else, and if you approve or you pass the NCLEX, they will give you your license, just like that. Canada is the only one that requires for NCAST.
How do you think this journey that you're in right now has contributed to your personal growth as an individual?
Well, it's been extremely challenging for me. More than once I felt hopeless and I want to quit, but I refuse to quit. It's been so hard and I've been putting so much effort in this. I won't quit.
Thank you so much, Isabel, for sharing your story, and I know that you're going to go a long way to become a registered nurse because you're doing amazing work right now. So thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
I'm very excited to know more about you and about your story. For those who don't know you, could you tell me your full name and when you came here to Canada, and what is your country of origin?
My name is Elizabeth Diaz Gallo. I'm originally from Colombia, and I immigrated 8 years ago exactly. I'm working as a full-time classroom teacher in a kindergarten French immersion.
And what motivated you to become a teacher?
Well, that was back in the time in Colombia when I finished high school, and I just thought, like, if you want changes in society, you need to do them from the core, and that was one of the main reasons why I decided to become a teacher.
You were a teacher back in Colombia, and then you had to move here. Did you go through a certain credential process?
Yeah, definitely. Like, when you immigrate and you try to go back to what were you doing before, you need to do certain steps in here. Some of the education from our countries are not recognized in here, so you need to do like the whole process from the beginning, sending your credentials from your country all the way to an office in Toronto. I did it like that, and they decide which kind of like equivalency they have in between your country and Canada. In my case, my education from Colombia was a Bachelor of Education in here. However, they tell you if you want to certify as as a certified teacher in here, you need to complete some credits as well with courses that are specific to the context in Canada. So that's basically what I did.
And you arrived in British Columbia first, or where did you arrive first?
No, when I moved originally, I came to Winnipeg. It's a city in Manitoba, which is kind of like the center of Canada. And I spent in there 6 years and a half and then moved to BC.
So you did your process in Manitoba and then you moved here. Was it difficult to start the process in Manitoba, or did you have to do the process again in British Columbia? So how did that work when you moved provinces?
Mm-hmm. When I went to Winnipeg the first time, that was back in 2016, I didn't have any intentions of starting to do the process right there because I knew it was going to be expensive, it was going to take a lot of work, and I immigrated. I came first with a student visa. So I came to do an early childhood education program first for a year, and then it was going to be like paying as an international student if I were to take any credit courses for my certification. So I decided that I was going to wait until basically becoming a permanent resident, take my courses without paying as an international student. That was a little bit more affordable, let's call it like that. And after receiving my certification in Winnipeg, in Manitoba, my teaching certificate in there, it was a little bit easier to transfer things to British Columbia. They do have a couple of differences in between provinces. They do have some requirements in here in BC that they don't have in Manitoba. But I was ready to take on those challenges as well and to do the process for British Columbia. And that's how I did it. They need to start from zero, so we start with the alphabet, we start with basic vocabulary, and as we have French immersion kindergarten, we have to start with little concepts and little basic words of French, like greetings, also days of the week, parts of the body, months of the year, numbers until 10 first and then until 20. So for all those things, the way for them to learn them and the way for them to memorize those sort of things is by using music and by using movements, right? Like if they move their hands or if they have to touch a certain part of their body so they can associate both things and they can remember with the time. That's what I do. Teach them numbers, teach them basic things in socials, in science, social emotional learning as well. Well, I would say one of the things that made it a little bit easier was the fact that my background in Colombia, my education was also in English and in French. Then that cut a lot of the time that I needed to do. So basically I would say it took around 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years, more or less.
Were there any specific moments in the entire process where you perhaps felt challenged or felt like giving up, or was it always very hopeful for you and very an easy ride for you?
It was not easy. It was not easy because I had to do again IELTS academic test, and that's every single time stressful, and it's money out of your pocket, and it's dedication. You have to study, you have to prepare. So I had to do that one again. I had to apply for University of Winnipeg so I could take my courses in there. The education was the part of taking courses, university courses, after so many years that I was out from university. That was challenging, but at the same time was a good challenge because I felt I want to do this, even though I'm tired, even though I'm stressed, even though I have to do a lot of things, and this is mentally draining sometimes, I was like, yeah, I want to do this because I'm a teacher, and I decided one time that I wanted to become a teacher because I want to change things in society. So yeah, that's basically the story. And through the credentialing process, yeah, it's like I just think like never give up. Sometimes I read questions in the Facebook groups or things like those that people ask questions like, oh, how do I do if I want to become this in Canada? Or what do I do if I want to have my credentials recognized? And I see some people being very cold in terms of telling people like, oh, don't dream about it, like don't even bother. And I'm like, why do people say those things? Just encourage people to do what they want to do. You want to become a teacher here, do it. You want to become a doctor, a lawyer, whatever you want to become that you were in your country, you can do it in here. It takes time. It does take time. It takes money. But at the end of the day, it's all worth it if it's something you want to do. So yeah.
Are you happy with what you're doing now? Are you content?
Yep, very much. I'm still doing like a lot of different things. I have enrolled for a couple of courses because I want to become a vice principal sometime, and then principal if I can. So those courses that I'm taking are in educational leadership. And yeah, I'm pretty content with everything I'm doing.
So I think I'm not putting my career as a nutritionist away. I would say it's only on hold for now because my lash extension business is now my priority. But I would love to be a nutritionist again sometime in the future.
Andrea, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am super excited to know more about your story, about how you came here from Mexico to Canada, yes, about your journey with nutrition, and I'm excited to know about your business. I guess, what inspired your decision to move from Mexico to Canada?
Okay, so basically what inspired me to come to Vancouver was love, because my husband was previously working here as a business instructor, and while I was doing my master's degree in dietetics in Madrid, Spain. So when he proposed, we both decided that I was gonna come live with him here in Canada. So that's the main reason why I came initially here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about your professional background? What were you in Mexico? What did you study?
Yeah, so I have a bachelor's degree in nutrition. So I worked as a nutritionist for 4 years in Mexico, and then I went to Spain, like I said before, to study my master's degree in dietetics for a year, and then I came here. So basically in Mexico I was doing nutrition, but I was also on a side job doing lashes. Yep.
And then when you moved here to British Columbia, did you decide to go back into the nutrition field, or?
Yeah, so when I decided that I was gonna come here to Canada, I started doing some research to continue to be a nutritionist here in Vancouver. And I started all of the process even before coming to Canada.
What happened during the process? Did you finish the credentialing requirements, or did you move away from that?
No, I started, but I didn't finish. So basically, I faced some challenges along the way of the credentializing process. So the first thing that I did was verify my credentials with a third-party agency that will prove to the College of Dietitians of BC that my bachelor's and my master's degree is equivalent to one in Canada. So I did that first. So I wasn't able to get my diploma from my master's degree, only the bachelor's degree paperwork. And this is like an important part because even though it sounds like something very simple, even like the words changing, for example, for the College of Dietitians here in BC, my bachelor's degree wasn't enough for me to prove that it was equivalent to one in Canada, because in Mexico we call the dietitians nutritionists. So here in Canada, a nutritionist is not equivalent to a bachelor's degree. It's only like a 2-year technical career. So the board couldn't like start my process of credentializing without my master's degree diploma, which was the one that had the dietetics word or part, So that's when I started to face challenges. And I couldn't get that diploma because I needed to get it like personally from the college in Spain. And I wasn't able to travel to Spain because of the pandemic to get it. So basically, I couldn't like continue with that process.
That sounds like so much work that you had to go through.
Yeah.
And so how long did that process take for you? Was it a year or?
It was less than a year. It was about 8 months because even though I didn't have my master's degree diploma, I decided that I would continue with the process only with my bachelor's paperwork. The panelists that interview you in order for you to become registered would be less probable for me to approve my paperwork without that master's degree diploma. So that's when I told myself like, okay, this is too much time, too much money, too much energy for me not to have like the whole possibility. So that's when I decided to focus my energy in my second job, which is lash extensions.
I think the thing that excites me the most about going to work is that I get to do something that I love, and that I also feel like I enhance people's natural beauty, and all of my clients leave my studio feeling powerful and confident.
I love it. And where did it come from? So did you have like a passion for it back in your like stay in Mexico or in Spain, or did you just decided to take on this new project and then became a business, or how did it actually happen?
Yeah, so it happened back in Mexico as well. When I graduated from college in Mexico, my mom wanted to do like a beauty business related thing. So she started a business in lash extensions in Mexico, and she told me like, do you want to learn? Do you want to help me with my business? And I said like, sure, why not? Like I was very new to the nutrition field as well there, so I was like, yeah, let's do both. So I learned how to do lash extensions in Mexico, and then when I was doing my master's degree in Spain, I also worked part-time as a lash extension artist in a studio there. So when I came here to Canada, I already knew that I really enjoyed that like side job that I also did back in Mexico and in Spain. So I was like, okay, if this is not working with the College of Dietitians process, and why not doing something else that I really enjoy doing, right? So that's when I decided to focus on my business and like start from scratch here.
And how many years have you been doing lashes here in Vancouver?
Here in Vancouver, almost 3 years and a half, almost 4 years, yeah.
Has your business grown over those years?
Yeah, it's been a journey, but it's been great. So I started out basically, I didn't know anyone here in Canada, so when I came, I started in my living room. I just put all of my setup there in the living room, and now I rent a little space in a spa in downtown Vancouver, which is like, it was a huge step for me, like just moving out from my home to like a spa and like more of like a place dedicated to my business.
I'm glad to hear that even though, you know, the nutrition and dietitian field didn't really end up working, you found something else that you're passionate about, and it's something that you had previous experience in.
Yes.
That you can do. So it's amazing, and it's a really story of perseverance that you're doing this, and that you're just making people fabulous with your lashes.
Yeah, well, I enjoy, I think something that I really enjoy with my actual work, with my business, is that I can make people feel confident by only enhancing their natural beauty. So that's something that I really enjoy doing.
As we conclude the stories of Isabel, Andrea, and Elizabeth, their successes over challenges and unwavering resilience paint a vivid picture of the strength within the Latina community. We hope these stories have resonated with you, inspiring a deeper understanding of the unique paths these women have forged. Their experiences not only reflect personal growth, but overall collective resilience that define their community. This has been the Tales of Our Resilience.